Good morning, everyone. So here I am back again with a new video. In this video, we'll be doing the revision of the endocrine system. The first part of this video will basically contain the explanation for the pituitary gland and the thyroid gland. And the second part will be consisting of the pancreas and the adrenal gland. So let us have a look at the location of the pituitary gland. The pituitary gland hangs from the base of the midbrain below the hypothalamus. I repeat, the pituitary gland hangs from the base of the midbrain below the hypothalamus. Clearly, this gland, it is hanging by a stalk that is called as the infundibulum from the hypothalamus. So if I just zoom in, you can have a slight view of the hypothalamus. This is the right side of the hypothalamus, and here some side of the hypothalamus. So the pituitary gland is located at the base of the midbrain below the hypothalamus. It hangs from the base of the midbrain by this infundibulum, that is a stalk that suspends the pituitary from the hypothalamus. So the pituitary gland is divided into two lobes. The larger lobe is called as the anterior, and the smaller one is called as the posterior. In terms of size, the pituitary gland is of the size of a pea, weighing about half a gram. Although so minute in size, but still it is very significant. The reason is a lot of hormones from the anterior pituitary regulate the functioning of other parts or other glands of the body. So such hormones that regulate the functioning of other glands are called as tropic hormones. Now, let us have a detailed view of the anterior and the posterior pituitary, the two lobes of the pituitary gland. So now what you see on your screen is the histology of the pituitary gland. The larger lobe you can see is the anterior lobe. The smaller one relatively is called as the posterior. And in between the two, there is a small indistinct or not so well developed lobe in humans called as the intermediate lobe. Now this intermediate lobe is not highly developed in humans, but it is well developed and fully functional in some lower animals and some other mammals. Now, as far as the anterior lobe is concerned, as I just mentioned to you all, that it releases hormones which are called tropic hormones. So first amongst these hormones is the growth hormone, also called as the somatotropin or the somatotropic hormone. As the name suggests, growth hormone. So it will definitely be responsible for stimulating growth of the body. The target site or the target organ for this hormone that are the long bones. It helps in the elongation of bones and proper physical growth and development of an individual. It is called somatotropic because soma means body and trop means because it is influencing the body for growth, stimulating the body for growth, and hence called somatotropic hormone or the somatotropin. Now, deficiency of this hormone in childhood leads to dwarfism, wherein the child may show normal mental development, but the physical growth would be retarded. He or she will retain the body size or the body proportions of a child. The opposite condition, that is over-secretion of this hormone, growth hormone or somatotropin in childhood, leads to gigantism, where the individuals may grow up to a height of 2.7 meters or even more. A condition of over-secretion may sometimes even be seen in adults. That is called acromegaly. Acro means extremities, and megaly means enlargement. So the extremities of your body show enlargement, especially if there is enlargement of nose, thickening of lips, elongation of the bones in the fingers as well as in the foot. So these are the symptoms of acromegaly. I again explain, I'm again giving you the meaning of acromegaly. Acro means extremities and megaly means enlargement. So this is about the growth hormone. The second tropic hormone that is secreted by the pituitary is the thyroid stimulating hormone, abbreviated as TSH, also called as the thyrotropic hormone or thyrotropin. It is again a type of tropic hormone because it influences the thyroid, it stimulates the thyroid to in turn produce its own hormone, that is thyroxine. The third hormone is the adrenocorticotropic hormone. Adrenocortico refers to the adrenal cortex. So this hormone is responsible for stimulating the cortex region of the adrenal gland for releasing the hormone cortisone. So the functioning of the adrenal cortex is regulated by this hormone from the anterior pituitary called ACTH, adrenocorticotropic hormone. And the last tropic hormone described in your syllabus is the gonad stimulating hormone or the gonadotropin. So as the name suggests again, these will stimulate the gonads. So gonads are basically the primary sex organs, testes in males and ovaries in females. The functioning of the endocrine part within the testes and the ovaries is under the stimulation from the hormone secreted by the anterior pituitary. There are two gonadotropins, FSH, which stands for follicle stimulating hormone. The other hormone in females is called LH. It is called luteinizing hormone, while in males it is referred to as ICSH, that is interstitial cell stimulating hormone. So these are the tropic hormones that are released by the anterior pituitary. I repeat their names: the growth hormone or somatotropin, the thyroid stimulating hormone or thyrotropin, adrenocorticotropic hormone, and finally you have the gonadotropins, that is FSH and LH or ICSH. Now coming to the posterior lobe of the pituitary, it releases two hormones. One is antidiuretic hormone or vasopressin. Antidiuretic, anti means opposite, diuresis means large volume of urine. So basically it will cause an opposite condition, meaning it will reduce the volume of urine by reabsorbing water from the DCT and the collecting duct. So the target organ for the ADH or vasopressin are the distal convoluted tubules and the collecting duct of the nephron, and they reabsorb water whenever it is required to be retained, especially in conditions where we are sweating a lot, like during summer season. The secretion of ADH will be more, and that will help in retaining water to counterbalance the water loss that is occurring on account of excessive perspiration. A deficiency of this hormone vasopressin causes diabetes insipidus. Now, the term diabetes is synonymous with the condition that is frequent urination. Insipid means tasteless. Now here, there is formation of copious volumes of urine, extremely large volumes of urine, because there is no retention or reduced retention of water or reduced reabsorption of water from the DCT and the collecting duct on account of under secretion of ADH. So the person suffers from frequent urination, frequent thirst, and the urine being very dilute is tasteless, and that is why the name diabetes insipidus. Now, the second hormone of the posterior lobe of the pituitary is oxytocin, also called as the birth hormone. Now, this hormone is responsible for stimulating uterine contractions at the time of parturition, that is at the time of childbirth. This hormone functions by means of positive feedback mechanism. Now, the normal state of the uterine muscles is relaxed. The few initial contractions, just a few hours before parturition, instead of commanding those muscles to return back to their relaxed state, this hormone further increases the intensity of the contractions. And that is why it is said to be positive feedback, means the few initial contractions, that is a departure from the normal state of the uterine muscles, continues the similar abnormal condition of the abnormal state, that is, it further intensifies the contractions till the time the fetus is delivered, till the time the parturition is complete. And hence, oxytocin functions by means of positive feedback mechanism. Another small function of oxytocin is also to stimulate milk ejection from the mammary glands during breastfeeding. So this is, my dear friends, about the pituitary gland. Now let us shift our focus to the next gland of the body, that is the thyroid.